the online and offline worlds continue to merge, creating an integrated experience between the two. Relationships between people and the physical space has changed to accommodate new virtual ones.
Right. How's it going, everybody? We'll keep working on those transitions. But hello and welcome to Leviathan News. Today is August 23rd, and today we have Hubert from StakeDAO here to talk about Onlyboost. Hubert.
Hey, everyone.
Welcome. How's it going?
Yes, sir. What's up? Very well. Thanks a lot
Pleasure
for having
to have
me
you here, sir.
So we reported about Onlyboost on the timeline today, but maybe you could give us some more information about what it is and what it's trying to do.
Yeah, sure. First, did you guys all see the little video we did about it?
No, but maybe you could share that actually. This is my
I'd love to share it because it's
sure.
kind of...
You did post it? Okay, let me pull this up.
Yeah.
Video. We could share it with everybody else. Yeah.
I can just share my screen if you want.
You guys did a video? That's cool. Okay, hold on. This is pretty fun. Let's pull this up. And we can make this big. Okay, let's go.
At the moment, it's like $1 million a month.
That would put you at the very highest echelon.
I have just achieved the 6 figures a month range.
Wow.
So yeah.
Were you making this at your previous job?
No.
So now it's like 350 a month. It's insane.
Are you
crazy?
Serious?
You're going to be proud that you have your little ones and they look at you and go, didn't you want to be a lawyer, Mummy? What happened?
Yeah.
And you go, here, but look at all my stuff.
They could cry in a Ferrari.
Oh, let's go.
At the moment.
That's a good, good one on
That's
your market.
product market fit, to be honest.
Right?
Yeah, it's funny. It's relevant for the moment. So here we got the Onlyboost white paper. So it's maximizing boost for curve LPs.
Yes, basically. So I guess maybe the video was not enough to get the full idea of the product, but so basically the idea that for some time Convex had such a massive amount of VCRV and nobody else had any significant amount, and so it made sense only to go to Convex or to lock yourself on Curve, right? Mm-hmm. If you have your own VCRV. But since SDCRV launched, got a lot of traction, we went from 3 million VCRV to 50 million. I mean, we are 49.7 something. So now we represent like a bit less than 8% of the total VCRV share, right? And Convex represents 49%, something like that. So it becomes significant numbers, and for advanced users, it becomes very critical to optimize, your position between the various boost providers, right? So you have several boost providers. You have Convex, StakeDAO, Yearn, and all of them have their benefits and their own, capacity to boost, right? Due to Convex's overwhelming dominance over the past couple of years, Convex currently has 80%, 90% of the curve TVL, right? Which means if you dive a bit in the curve boosting formula, which means that it's kind of, inefficient to go on Convex because you don't get the max boost, right? On certain pools, obviously. Some pools, Convex have max boost, etc. It highly depends on POL of protocols, etc., etc. But as a whole, in general, Convex has 90% of the TVL, 50% of the VCRV. If you look at Yearn, it's kind of the opposite. Same for StakeDAO. StakeDAO has like 8% of the CRV, of the VCRV, and 1% of the TVL. So there is some optimization to be done here, right?
But so what you're saying, just to break that down, what you're saying is that there's several different like yield aggregators, right? So like Yearn obviously was the first, and then Convex came along, and then you guys, and then there's a bunch of other people
came
who
before Convex actually.
Oh, you did come before
after
Convex.
Yearn, but we need we
so
didn't have such a good product, so we needed to update it and we're more recent on this.
Like all these protocols are taking in CRV to stake it in some form or the other to provide boosts to their LPs. But what you're saying in the paper is that because Convex has sucked in so much TVL, their maximum boost that they can provide on average is much lower than these other platforms.
Exactly.
So
maybe I should have started by
so there's an opportunity. So there's an opportunity for a like aggregator across all of these different platforms to evenly distribute liquidity to maximize boost and extract as much value as possible.
Yes, exactly. So I should have started saying that the boost formula on Curve basically defines the amount of CRV rewards you would get by providing liquidity on Curve, right? And to make it very simple, the higher your share in the total VCRV, so in the total CRV locked, the better your boost. The higher your share in the pool, the lower your boost, right? Which means that the optimum is kind of when you have the same share, right? So that being said,
well, hold on, let's go back. So for people who are not like intimately aware with the CRV system, this is like one thing that's kind of been abstracted away. Like if you used VCRV back in before there was Yearn or Convex or StakeDAO, you actually would like lock up some CRV, and then you would have to go and you would spread your capital out, because the way it works is that there's a maximum amount of money that you can deploy into each pool based on how much VCRV you have. So like each pool is different. So like some pools, it's like for every $1 of VCRV or CRV that you have, you could lock up $1 of liquidity. In other pools, you need like in the highly competitive pools, you may need like $4 or $5 of CRV to lock up $1 of liquidity. And so what this formula and your optimization is looking at is looking at the different platforms and saying like, okay, so on Convex, you may need like, essentially like $4, but over here on Yearn, you only need like $2 per, and so it affects the yield that you would get at the end of the day. And so you're trying to optimize across all these different platforms.
Exactly. Let's say, so basically you have a certain amount of CRV rewards which are distributed to each gauge, right? Which depends on votes, etc. That's another topic. And the way those CRV rewards are allocated depend on each user's boost, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you have 100% of the pool, or 95% of the pool, you will not boost, right? Because you will get, at maximum, you would get like 100% of the rewards, right?
Yeah.
So the max you would get is maybe a 5% boost, right? Whereas, so if you're a user, you put in the vault of convex, which has 95%, you don't get a boost, right? But if you put in the vault, which has, I don't know, 1%, but a big amount of VCRV, you will get a high boost, right? You see my point?
Yeah.
So basically, it's all down to, as a user, if you deposit TVL, you would be having the most optimized deposit if your deposit tends to align the share in the pool with the share in the VCRV, right? But it sounds a bit easy, but if you have like big deposits, it gets a bit tricky. And also there's other factors that makes it even more tricky, right? Because you have fees from boost aggregators. For example, Convex takes 17%, StakeDAO 16%, Yearn, I don't know exactly, but I mean, it depends on the pools, etc. So you need to take into account those fees, and also you have incentives, right? On Convex, your incentives depend directly. It depends on your boost, on your CRV rewards. On StakeDAO, it depends on SDT votes, etc. So it gets a bit tricky to optimize it, taking into account fees and incentives. But it's tricky, but it's not impossible. And that's what we do in this white paper and with this contract. Right?
And then to be clear, like you mentioned in the white paper that Yearn already does some basic optimization of this degree, depositing in their own pools until they're kind of like the boost is maxed and then redepositing to Convex. But what you're doing is like through all this extra math, like a few extra tweaks on this, which let me get to the graph here that I thought was really good. You go through and kind of simulate the percentages of deposits, and through this kind of advanced optimization method, you're able to deliver anywhere from like a 7% to a 30% APR increase, correct?
Yes. So basically, Yearn kind of probably had the first idea of this, right? But what they did is very basic, and I don't think it works. I humbly don't think it works. Basically, what they do is that the threshold towards beyond which they don't have the max boost anymore, right? So, and if your deposit exceeds this threshold, then the deposits are going to go through Convex, right? So if you have a lot of deposits on Yearn, then it will be split between Yearn and Convex, and the Yearn part will have 2.5x boost, and the Convex part will have the Convex boost, right? Which if you take, I don't know, if for example the boost on Convex is 1.8, it means that you could have deposited more on Yearn and have more boost, right? So you could have optimized better, right?
Mm-hmm.
And furthermore, they also take a fee on the Convex side, right? But as you see on the white paper, so the white paper identifies like three formulas trying to dive deeper and deeper into the optimization. And the one that we find at the end, which is the most optimized, also taking into account gas efficiency, etc., manages to have, on average, for large deposits, an increase in APR of 9%. So it's not 9 percentage points, right? It's your APR increases by 9%, right? So if you have a 10% APR, you will get 11% APR or something like that, right? Because you had 9%, right? So that being said, if you add on top of this a 10% fee, you don't get any improvement, right? So that's why the Yearn solution is a good iteration, but I don't think it scales. I don't think it works.
Now, isn't this the wrong time to be launching a curve optimization? Because according to top influencers, curve is death spiraling and going to go to zero very soon. So would this concept be applicable more broadly to other like DeFi protocols?
It's actually a good question. And to be honest, the the contract was ready a long time ago, and due to all the drama around the Viper hack, and then Mitch's debt and all those OTCs, etc., we didn't want to launch in the middle of this mess, right? So we waited a bit, but at some point now we're in a position where there has always been curve death spirals, right? If I wait for them to change their mind, probably I would be myself dead before we release the product, right? So at some point, okay, a lot of people are falling curve, but if you look at the TVL, it's still several billions, right? So I think it makes sense. I think it's a product which is very well designed for large users who are smart enough to know that they don't have a lot of alternatives than Curve. And also that is easy to sell probably to DAOs with POL, etc. So I think it should work out, right?
Yeah, in the bear market, people need money, like quite frankly. So the fact that you can boost their farming rewards, maybe up to 30-40%, like that's pretty exciting stuff.
Yes, for sure. And also what I think is cool and should be noted is that it's kind of a renewed collaboration between the actors, going away from this curve war mentality. So we are building on top of Curve, but also on top of Convex, having good discussion with them, etc. So StakeDAO is going to deposit on Convex. Yearn is depositing on Convex. Everybody is working together. I think it's positive. And if you want my opinion, this whole mess around Curve OTC and stuff, I think it's going to be very bullish in the long term for Curve, because a lot of protocols, a lot of institutionals are putting their hand on some long-term Curve positions, and it could be something that helps Curve, getting integrated on large institutional exchanges or whatever. It's also a boost for Curve. A lot of projects were going to Balancer because they were feeling the Curve game is too hard, right? And a lot of them managed to get OTCs and now are very well placed on this Curve game. So I think it's good for Curve in the end. Just a bad moment to pass, right?
Yeah.
It's actually a perfect time to transition to one of the biggest stories that hit yesterday. So feel free to stick around if you have other like.
Oh no, I actually do have something to ask about Hubert. So one of the protocols that you guys actually support, which is Pendle, I know that you guys have like stake locking for them as well too. Binance Labs announced a investment into them yesterday. So that's pretty good for you guys.
Yeah, it's not so much of a surprise, but yes, it's very good for Pendle, very good for us. I guess we're not the biggest users of Pendle as well, but we have a very good relationship with them. The team is amazing, to be honest, and I think they deserve it. It's great for the ecosystem. I think yield swap is something which is absolutely major in TradFi and deserves to be very important in DeFi as well. And so yes, I'm very happy with this. Also, it brings me to add something I forgot about the Onlyboost, but the fact that the formula we did is actually replicable on Balancer, on Pendle, etc. And at some point we will deploy on those other protocols. I think the next one will probably be Balancer, but it's exactly the same formula because everybody got inspired by the Curve Boost formula, right?
Cool. All right. So I don't know if you guys saw it yesterday, but we had a cryptic announcement from Eigenlabs, who posted a countdown clock to the beginning of Eigenworlds. Now, there is an OpenSea link here. So this is probably something to do with NFTs. Nobody really knows. In an hour and a half from now, we'll actually see this launch, and maybe it's an open mint for something to do with EigenLayer.
I don't know. Have we already forgotten the metaverse as the meme? Maybe it's Eigenworlds is actually like a metaverse like open world.
Who knows? But I don't know. It's got to be something. Maybe it's just like some free to mint NFTs. Hey.
Are they free? Is the mint free?
Who knows? Nothing's published. They just posted this like countdown clock, and at what is it? 12 Eastern, and what was that? Like 5 or 6 p.m. Central European time. You'll be able to take part in the mint.
And do we know how many NFTs are there?
No, there's no information about it. There's just a countdown clock, but there is an OpenSea link, so it's probably going to be an NFT set for something. But there's no information about it. Very cryptic.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. We also had presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy post some like pro-Bitcoin messages, saying, "I'm a lifelong defender of civil liberties. Bitcoin is both an exercise and a guarantee of those freedoms." Looks like he's standing in military gear on a, I don't know. It's very like commander-ish, this picture. But
it doesn't seem like, are these uniforms?
No. It's just a green shirt.
Yeah.
Just a green shirt. But yeah, it's interesting. We've seen a couple of other like Republican candidates come out and say it, but I guess Robert's right in the middle, and it's nice to see someone who has a bit of a left leaning to make pro Bitcoin statements, because the rest of the left doesn't like Bitcoin, at least not in the Biden administration.
Well, also I think that personally, I don't remember seeing. I don't know how to say it, like what's the right word for it, but a candidate that is from the left but is so libertarian, like he brings back all kinds of libertarian values, which is kind of a refreshing thing. And also I think he's very honest. I've been listening to him quite a lot, actually.
Yeah,
I kind of like a lot of his messages, and it's good to see someone that is pro industry. He understands like the basic concepts of Bitcoin and like what's important about that. And I just can say that I hope that these people start seeing more and more of the other stuff that's in our industry, and not just Bitcoin with its concept. But like I would be very happy if some of these candidates would start to know something about Ethereum and what's going on there as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting how this cycle plays out. Definitely, there's been reports that if the Republicans win, that Hester Peirce, who is the SEC, one of the SEC, not chairwoman, but one of the SEC commissioners, would be promoted to be chairwoman for the next Republican tenure, and that could have be a boon for the crypto industry, as it's been hampered by Gary G's SEC term.
No, I haven't really paid much attention to the campaign, but is like RFK's candidacy being taken seriously by the left at all, or is it like completely just like writing him off?
I think a lot of people like him. I think that he gets a lot of, like a lot of the things that he says get deleted from the internet because of medical misinformation, right? So like anytime he talks about vaccines, like Google just deletes everything from YouTube. And he got a couple of town halls, but like in the news cycle, there is no story that's bigger than Trump, right? And I think it's very hard to like get a foot in the door, even if you're a candidate like RFK. Like I think RFK is trying to take like the independent route, or maybe like who knows, but it's hard to say, because like Trump just absorbs like all the air in the room. There's almost nothing to talk about after that, because like all the indictments going on, plus he's still in the race. He's not going to the debates that are coming up. He won't be participating. He's going to hold like a counter interview with Tucker Carlson. So it's going to be a crazy election cycle.
Yeah. But to be honest, I saw both RFK and Vivek, who's also running for the Republican candidacy. Both of them went on like for now already on the hugest, like the biggest podcasts already.
Yeah.
They were on Joe Rogan, they were with PBD and all kinds of others as well. And I'm not that sure that I think that at least for some of the candidates, mainstream media is not as interesting at the moment because they're just not given that big of a solution. I don't know if you guys are following, but Tucker's show is becoming quite huge on Twitter. I think he has one of the best shows out there right now. I think what they're doing with Trump and like hosting an interview while the debate will be on is just to show the fact that you said like that Trump can outperform everyone and get all the attention and suck the air out of every room, even if he's not in it. And to be honest, it's going to be very interesting. I think that we as an industry should start asking these candidates a lot of questions about how they see the future, how do they see crypto, how do they see what role does the US need to take in order to lead this industry or remain sharp on it, because it is a completely global industry. It's definitely going to be one of the most interesting elections ever, I think.
Yeah, I'd be more interested. I mean, the crypto stuff is so small. I'm more interested about like dollar dominance and about like preventing any sort of defections from like the BRICS, from like major BRIC companies to start using currencies other than the dollar for global trade settlement. I mean, that's really like the biggest issue, right? How can the next president increase US dollar domination? And I mean, like stablecoin strategy is a part of that, but it's so small because, you know, we're talking about like $30 billion when, you know, the amount of global trade that happens across the world is in the trillions of dollars on the year. So I think there is a lot of stuff. We're pretty far. Actually, we're in August, so this time next year it's going to be in full force. We have coming up on almost less than a year to go until the next election. So things are about to get pretty crazy. We also had a story from, well, not really a story, but an announcement from the FBI saying that these 6 wallets are Lazarus Group wallets that had stolen money from the Atomic Wallet hacks, Coins Paid, and also the Harmony Bridge and Sky Mavis Ronin Bridge, and that potentially they're looking to cash out over the next few months. And they're warning crypto industry people and companies to track these wallets and be vigilant in guarding against transactions directly with or derived from these addresses, because they probably definitely are on an OFAC list somewhere. Good one. That's a good one. Nice. Nice, Gerrit. Yeah. So another day, another hack. Actually, we don't have any hacks today. We have today's like all good news, right? So we have a story. So Ajna has launched their permissionless lending pools on Summer Finance. Now anyone can deploy a ERC20 pairing without oracles and without permission as well too. So if you're interested in trying their lending pools, you can.
Where are they deployed? What is Ajna?
Ajna is like this like new type of permissionless oracleless lending where they use like interest rate. I believe it's with interest rate adjustments to maintain the loans. But yeah, it's definitely different. And I've looked into it before, and it's this like new type of oracleless system that is going to be coming out soon.
Cool.
Yeah. What else do we have? So there's been a bunch of activity on Base over the past few days. Our first 2 days in this podcast on Monday and Tuesday were devoted to talking about the friend tech, and it's really driven up a ton of activity on Base over the last 24 hours. Let me just bring up this picture. Over the last 24 hours, there's been over $238,000 in fees and $144,000 in revenue. That DeFiAdvisor, are you okay? I'm just going to you for a second. Okay.
Oh,
so
was that who that was? I was trying to figure out who that gentleman was.
Yeah, and it was before as well too. This is pretty crazy. Like I don't. Oh, you shaved. Exactly. Yeah, DeFiAdvisor, come back on stream. Let's see your haircut.
Yeah. What do you mean? But what just happened? I was just like.
What happened? You're the main character. Like
not yet.
No, but it's this. It's like, oh, you shaved. Yes. You got a haircut. Where did it go?
Every once in a while.
Where did all your hair go?
I don't know. The barber took it. Like,
when was the last time you got a haircut? It must have been at least.
I think it was about a year
or more. It was long. Your hair was long.
Yeah, it was already long.
It
was already quite long. Thanks, Chunk CC. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
So we had Base is on like an $87 million annual run rate with their fees, right? So it's probably a little bit less because the revenue after the fees are paid for running the sequencer are a little bit less. But even still, even if we take half that and we say like a $40 million run rate on Base, and things aren't even really popping off. That's with like one successful application drawing in users. We're gonna see this be added to their like 10K and income statements. And this could have a big ripple effect on the wider kind of crypto adjacent companies who like rush to launch their L2s.
Yeah, that's an interesting point that Wall Street analysts are going to start discussing this. Like this is sort of like the back door to how mass adoption happens, right? Like all this stuff that we take for granted and talk about all the time. Like I feel like it's still completely opaque to like financial analysts. So now they're going to get a crash course in all this. They're already like studying LST staking, etc. So it's going to be interesting to see like them start to pick up our jargon.
All right, so I want to answer a question that was asked by Eugene Government Honest. Why is virtual real estate the solution to a math problem, the foundation for any real wealth? Well, it doesn't have to be real wealth. I mean, Bitcoin does one thing and one thing alone, which is that me and Gerrit are able to send value to North Koreans, right? Or a North Korean could send something to an Iranian, or I could send money to, or I could send value to DeFiAdvisor, or I could send value to Hubert, right? It does that one thing and it does it really well. And that means that it has value. And so, there is no real other like use case for it other than sending value to people. Although,
to be clear to any of the feds watching, I am not sending any.
Yeah, we're not sending any money to North Koreans, but we're saying that if we wanted to, it allows us to exist in this like space above, right? And that has value that people assign to it. Whether you like it or not doesn't really matter. It's just code and it works. So moralizing about it at the end of the day really doesn't bring anything to anybody. Guys, have you looked into account abstraction yet? Are you excited for it?
Anything specific you're referring to? Because about the concept, definitely I'm excited for, but I don't know what you're hinting at.
Well, so I'm going to share my screen. I just want to show you how easy it's going to be to set up a wallet. This was like a little test case that was put out by Igloo. I thought it was pretty cool. So they're using Alchemy and Lit here. And let me just make sure that this is stretched out the right way so everybody can see. So this is IglooTools.xyz. We're going to create a wallet on Goerli. So we create a new passkey, right? We're going to name it like Sam's Wallet, right? Create a passkey. We're going to continue with my password. And you guys can't see that, but I'm entering in my password for thing. Oh. Let's try it again. I already created one, so maybe I need to log in actually. So I've already made one, right? So it just asked me to authenticate using my like auth tools for my computer, and then I log in, and that's it. There's no like private key management. There's no like having to maintain passwords. Like everything's already on my like computer itself. And so for like people using these, like your mom and your dad who just have a password on their Mac or PC or something, this is a much like faster way. So I already minted an NFT to this wallet. I can view it on Etherscan. I could like use this address. Like if it would be nice if they had like an ENS address that they could give me an ENS. So I didn't even have to use these like numbers, but we're getting there, right? Account abstraction is the future, and it's going to be huge. And in 5 years, we're not even going to recognize how we use these networks that we're using now.
Yeah, I remember when I was teaching a class at the University of Washington on Bitcoin and crypto and whatnot, and there was like one of the students was like very adamant that he was like we were going through seed phrases and how to like manage all your private keys, and he was very adamant about like, no, I just want to like send this to my brother in Switzerland, and I want him to manage it for me. Like he didn't want anything to do with like keeping his seed phrase safe. He didn't want anything to do with like managing his private keys offline. He was like desperate for someone to do it for him. And I think that's probably where most normies are. So that's where I'm excited about account abstraction.
Yeah, exactly. There's already a couple of wallets that are using this. So I believe Argent's integrating it into their system, and a bunch of other people are taking a whack at it as well too. So I'm very excited for it. No more gas, no more private key management. Just keeping keys on your own computer somewhere. Hubert, what do you think about all this? Have you looked into it a little bit?
I think Hubert may be listening, but not.
Oh yeah, I think he's on mute. So it's okay.
Sorry, my bad.
I was just wondering if you've looked at account abstraction.
Yeah, we've looked at it. I'm not an expert of this, but it's. I think it's something that will help with a lot of stuff. There are a crazy amount of use cases that could be interesting. I think that the latest one I read, which was super interesting, it's something that didn't actually mention account abstraction, but I think account abstraction is going to be the only way to achieve it. Is how to sell accounts, right? Imagine you have you have a locked token position. You want to sell it. You can sell your wallet, right? But how does the guy know you don't have your private key anymore? I think account abstraction is something that will eventually enable this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Saying private keys as an NFT or something like that. I don't know, but that's just the latest stuff I thought about with this. I think there are just plenty of use cases that could be super interesting.
Yeah. Well, actually, hold on. I wanted to go back a little bit. So we just talked about Base and how much revenue they're pulling in. But one thing that really popped up just in the last 24 hours is that noted researchers, Arixon and then Banteg, pulled up some interesting transaction flow that was happening with Friendtech. So Arixon whipped up this little script to start looking at the starting prices of new users and found that as soon as they joined, literally in the same block that they created their account, there was a bot sniper who was buying their shares, right? So at first, Arixon thought that it was like the RPC operators who were like looking at the mempool for new users and then sniping them in the same block, right? So here's an example. So a user initiates his account at like block, we're going to call this 911, and then the bot buys 4 shares in the same block, which is like really weird, right? Because like there must be something happen. There's some sort of like, at least Arixon thought there was some sort of collusion that was happening at the mempool level. But it's weird because there is no mempool for OP stack chains. So like he comes to the conclusion that either Friendtech is either using an RPC that is selling mempool data, or the whole thing is an inside job, right? That was his first conclusions. But later on, after like Banteg looked into it, he found out that 17% of first trades on Friendtech were sniped in the same block by 104 bots. So this is like a big bot network, like over 100 bots working on this. And it's the explanation that was put forward by Bert C. Miller is that someone is watching the bridge to see new users who are porting ETH over, and then they're spamming transactions with buys for those FinTech accounts, trying to like blindly land on the new account whenever it buys. And so they actually have like time to Banteg said you didn't even have to like watch the bridge, right? New user IDs appear in the enumerable API before they're forced to buy on their own share. So you can actually see these new, like when you're going through the process of like signing up for FinTech, you can see the new username pop up in the API. And it actually gives you a lot of time to go and then check the Twitter accounts to see if they're large enough and worthwhile to like buy shares on. And so like once you see these new accounts like show up in the FinTech API or the enumerable API, then you can just start spamming transactions at that point and hope to be the one that gets those transactions in the same block, which is pretty crazy. I mean, it's like a super simple but like very like devious way to perform like MEV on FinTech on base.
You're telling me all my new friends are actually robots?
Well, didn't you see when you signed up that somebody bought like 4 of your shares?
I know. I just assumed, like pretty handsome, popular guy. Everyone wants a piece, right? But no,
Yeah.
You're telling me it was MEV?
Yeah, it was MEV. I got sniped as well too. Did you guys get sniped?
Down bad.
Hubert,
down
are
bad.
you? Oh, Hubert's on mute because of his kids. But
I
yeah,
am not
got
on
sniped.
FinTech, but listening to it, I feel I should create one because I would sell shares to MEV bots, right? It would be super cool. Good way to finance the holidays, I guess.
Yeah. So it's interesting. There's like way more that's going on it, and Banteg was also talking in Lobsters as well too. So if you want to join the conversation, please come and join LobsterDAO. There's lots of people in there who are exploring this, and the best minds in DeFi are lobsters. I actually, if someone writes me, if a developer writes me and they're not in Lobsters, I question if they're actually a developer. Because how can you be? I mean, how can you be a DeFi developer and not be a lobster?
It's a good question.
It is a good question.
Very good question.
So yesterday we also had Nathaniel Chastain, who was the former head of product at OpenSea, who was sentenced to 3 months and 200 hours of community service for like front running the front page posts on OpenSea back in 2021. He was discovered that he made a profit of 16 ETH. He lost his job, lost a huge amount of equity that he had been given and was vesting, and now he has a felony conviction as well too. So if you're in one of these positions at a very nice cushy like DeFi corporate job, don't front run. Like we just saw this like 2 weeks ago with the guy from Balancer Labs who like started a token on base and then pulled liquidity after a few days and called it that it wasn't a rug, and then like within 24 hours he had been exposed, and Hayden was posting that he was no longer a part of the Uniswap Foundation.
Yeah, please, people, if you need money, just use Onlyboost. You can get like 40% more off your yield farming.
Yes, you can watch the video again to see people who are using it in a very profitable manner.
Yeah, exactly. And let's see, we also have a story that I wrote for Flywheel DeFi, which covers the like this new strategy that Frax is engaging in, which I called, or it wasn't me, but it was somebody else, called the new barbell strategy. And that's with Fraxbonds and StakeSfrxETH, where Frax is going to be adding their Fraxbonds here in the next few months with the release of Frax v3. So you'll be able to buy discounted dollars, or like Frax dollars, at a discount and receive them in like a year or two, and they should track the price closely, but not perfectly, of off-chain short-term yields. So you could buy like a 1-year like Fraxbond that is making like 4 or 5%, and you could scale that infinitely as well too. It's not like the DSR, which has limits. These Fraxbonds could absorb as much capital as you want. And then on the other side, you have StakeFraxETH, where StakeFraxETH is also a yielding product. And so the idea is that you use a barbell strategy to have like your quasi Fraxbond, and then also StakeFraxETH for volatility, and you get yield on both as well too. And
Gotta
so
say, when developers approach me, I check to see if they're in Flywheel DeFi. If not, they really actually developers.
That's a good one. Yeah, no, but the Lobster comment is real. Actually, if you're interested in joining LobsterDAO, you can just go to Telegram and search for Lobsters, and the group is there, and it's quite a large group as well too.
Yeah. Both are legit, like great places to be if you're looking for alpha and DeFi.
Yeah, there's really like only Lobsters is quite possibly the only Telegram community that's been able to keep its like luster through the extreme mod like actions of Ivan and his friends to keep everybody on topic, to not let it devolve into like speculative talk, and to really like shut down any low quality comments or informations there. And so yeah, it's been the only real survivor of my chats since DeFi Summer 2020. And
how long is the community operating?
Oh, for years. So at least since the beginning of DeFi Summer. That's when I joined. Maybe a little bit earlier than that. But at the time, like back in 2020, like everybody was there. It was like Andre was super active. Pretty much like Banteg was there all the time. Like pretty much every single major DeFi developer who was like working on Yearn, or Michael was there and was active as well too. Like everybody was there and just would like talk, and it was super friendly, and there was lots of fun chat. And now it's kind of grown into a behemoth where there's 20,000 people in it, but it still has really good information.
I got a pair of lobster claws from being in there. Did you?
Yeah, I did too. Yeah, I got
It's
6.
like the only NFT that that went up in value for me.
Yeah, no. So I if you had been active in Lobsters for long enough, you got a nice NFT, and they have a fun little gated chat that you can join in by buying the NFT. So pretty cool. I recommend, we can make recommendations that everybody goes and joins Lobster.
Yeah, that Flywheel, OfficerCIA with another headline. Like,
oh yeah,
your starter pack.
So OfficerCIA, aka Farm 42 on Telegram, is quite possibly like one of the hardest working and nicest people in the space. He's super helpful, and all he does is just put out some of the best like high quality information about how to stay safe in DeFi. And he's got a great channel that we recommend. It's called Officer's Channel. And no, he's not a Fed, but he does have a great blog. He's got 2 blogs. One's called pessimistic.io, and the other one's called OfficerCIA.mirror.xyz. And literally, like, if you're a dev or just like a regular person looking for security and privacy tips, there's like nowhere else to go. Like when people recommend, or like when I recommend people to like clean up their Telegram permissions or their Discord permissions, like Officer's already gone through and he's documented that really well. So you can come here. He's already done like gas optimization, solidly checklist, reentrancy attacks. Like now he's getting into more like developer tools, but he also has a bunch of other like Web3 security distilled too. This is, and he aggregates everything into these like really easy to understand articles that go from like super easy to parse to like very detailed if you're like a developer and want to get into the code. So I highly recommend. You can find the link in the Telegram and go from there and sign up. Go say hello. So I think it's going to wrap it up for today. We have a bunch of nice stories, no hacks, and everybody's doing great. We're all friends, aren't we?
Brace yourself. Tomorrow's going to be hack day, it means.
Yeah. No, just more friend. This is friend week.
Friends, tech, all the good stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everybody out there, even our haters.
Yeah, quite a lot of messages. Look at this trophy now.
I know. Let's put conspiracy hats on to think here. Gerrit gets to put his conspiracy hat on.
Yeah.
But we'll be back tomorrow with another episode. It's hump day, so we're one day closer to the weekend. So we'll see you tomorrow, guys. And thank you, Hubert, for being here.
Thank you very much for having me. It was very nice as always.
Good job with the marketing of the Onlyboost.
Thanks.
A funny commercial. Nice to see like new fun stuff being done by protocols, and definitely wish you a lot of luck with the new Onlyboost feature.
Thank you very much, and more alpha coming soon.
Yeah,
because we're not only working on Onlyboost.
Amazing. Well, we will see you soon, and we'll see you back tomorrow.
Have a good day, guys.